And could we have roll call to confirm quorum? 13 or more delegates make the quorum, or the minimum of 2 delegates from each of the standing committees. Nandai, all the folks on the line, colleagues. Nandai, thank you for calling in, and we'll proceed as soon as we confirm quorum. I got to mute.
Good morning, honorable delegates. Beginning roll call with Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay has not answered roll call. Honorable Key Allen Begay.
Delegate Key Allen is present.
Honorable Key Allen Begay has answered roll call. Honorable Paul Begay. Honorable Paul Begay has answered roll call and is present in the council chambers. Honorable Nathaniel Brown.
Delegate Brown present. Thank you.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown answered roll call. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton is excused from today's meeting. Honorable Amber Kanaz-Bakrati.
Yeah, thanks, Deja. This is Delegate Amber Kanaz-Bakrati. I'm present. Thank you.
Honorable Amber Kanaz-Bakrati answered roll call. Honorable Speaker Damon. Honorable Speaker Damon is excused. Honorable Herman Daniels.
Good morning, present.
Honorable Herman Daniels answered roll call. Honorable Mark Freeland.
Good morning from Eastern Navajo Agency.
Honorable Mark Freeland answered roll call. Honorable Pernell Halona.
Halona is present. Thank you. Good morning.
Honorable Pernell Halona answered roll call. Honorable Jamie Henio.
Good morning, Delegate Henio present.
Honorable Jamie Henio answered roll call. Honorable Vince James.
Good morning, Delegate James present.
Honorable Vince James answered roll call. Honorable Rick Nez.
Delegate Rick Nez is present.
Honorable Rick Nez answered roll call. Honorable Carl Slater.
Present.
Honorable Carl Slater answered roll call. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr.
Present.
Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. answered roll call. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. has not answered roll call. Honorable Charlene So.
I'm present.
Honorable Charlene So answered roll call. Presiding Chair Daniel So. Honorable Daniel So is present in the chamber. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So has not. Honorable Eugene So answered roll call. Honorable Otto So.
I am present.
Honorable Otto So answered roll call. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr.
Present.
Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. answered roll call. Honorable Edison Juanita.
Here.
Honorable Edison Juanica answered roll call and is present in the council chambers. Honorable Edmund Yazi is excused as well. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair has not answered roll call. Going back up, Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay did not answer roll call. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. did not answer roll call. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair did not answer roll call. With that, Pro Tem Chair, you have 18 delegates present, 3 delegates who did not answer roll call, and 3 delegates who are excused from today's meeting.
Okay, thank you. For the roll call, 18 present, constituting a quorum. At this point in time, I would ask Cecilia, Honorable Edison Juanica, to provide the invocation for today's Naabik'íyáti committee meeting. Cecilia, you have the floor.
Agushina, Ikea Pro Tem Speaker, appreciate this opportunity to say the prayer this morning for our Naabik'íyáti meeting. Let's all bow our heads and give thanks to our Heavenly Father wherever we might be. Heavenly Father, we come before Thee this morning. We're so thankful for this beautiful new day, another opportunity for us to take care of the things we need to. And we're so thankful for one another, for the support that we have for each other. And we're so thankful for the responsibilities that we've been given to be a spokesperson for the people that have put their trust in us to advocate on their behalf. So thankful for all the many blessings that Thou bestows upon each and every one of us. And sometimes we might feel that blessings only come to those that are in their spiritual abode. But Thou blesses each and every one of us, whether we're in tune with Thee or not, which I'm so thankful for. I'm so thankful for our leadership within the Navajo Nation, our president, vice president, council delegates, chapter officials, and school boards, and the Chief Justice, and our speaker, and our pro temp speaker today. Bless him that he might be able to provide us the guidance we need as we go through the meetings for both the Naabik'íyáti and for the special Navajo Nation Council session. And bless each and every one of us that we might address the issues and make decisions that will benefit the people. And we're so thankful for being able to continue to fight the pandemic. And we're hoping that we'll overcome it soon. But in the meantime, we have to continue to help each other by taking care of ourselves and ensuring that we wear our mask and keeping the distance that we need from each other. And we're so thankful that we have done so to this point. And I know it is not over with. And we just need to concentrate more on the spiritual side of our lives, spend more time on our knees, asking for help and guidance in all that we do. And we're so thankful for our children. Bless them that they might be reared to become good citizens, that the parents might always have the means to provide for them, both temporally and spiritually. And bless our elders, that they might continue to provide us the guidance through their wisdom. And we're so thankful for our veterans, those that are doing all that they can to help one another. And those that are still in the armed forces, bless them, that they might be protected, that they might be able to return to us in safety. Father, we're so thankful for everything. There is not anything that we do that thou doesn't know. And for that reason, help us that we might always be mindful, that we might always treat each other in a way that we ourselves want to be treated. And Father, be with us in all that we do. And be with us now as we discuss the items on the agenda, that we might do so with thy blessings. And when the time comes, those of us that have traveled, that we might return to our homes in safety. And bless all those that are on travel, that they might be protected from harm and evil. They might return to their homes in safety. And be with us throughout the rest of this day, Father. We humbly pray in thy Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Good morning again. Thank you for the wonderful prayers, Cecilia. I know that in return for that wonderful, let that prompter, I almost said recording is progress. Thank you, Cecilia. And please be mindful that Brother Edison is still in recovery from COVID. And with this, we hope that he gains strength and is really, again, in full force to talk for the people. We really appreciate his service throughout the years. Although all the colleagues on the line, Daniel So, das ist Janido, Tenjikin Slum, Nanisht Ezet Hachini, Vasachin, Slishni Vasachi, Nahopani, Dasanale, Chalchen Eya, Kenlachini, Danle. So, Satsu, Paulkha. At their school today is breast cancer awareness. And she basically said, Che, be sure and wear pink today. So that's how come I got this shirt. To basically show solidarity with the women, because they have another force that they have to deal with when they do find a lump in their breast. And it's something that we as men don't really have to deal with. It's something that our centers of the home, the matriarchs, they're the ones that need extra protection too. So at this point in time, that's my acknowledgement. With that, let's go to item number 2, recognizing guests and visiting officials. Committee members, do you have any folks that you want to recognize this morning? The floor is open to you.
Che.
Che, Honorable Mark Cleveland, what are you doing in that car? Council chambers.
Good morning, Che. I'm actually calling in I'm over here in Crown Point, West Mesa. But yeah, good morning from Crown Point and Eastern Navajo Agency. Honorable Wanika, thank you for that prayer. Really appreciate that and putting things into perspective for us here. Colleagues and staff, good morning. This morning, I wanted to give a shout out or a recognition to my 8 chapters, 8 regional chapters is what we go by. Crown Point, do Nahadishkish, do Tsehe'ai, do Vicente, do White Rock, Lake Valley, Herfano, and Naizi, as well as the 102 other chapters out there in the Navajo Nation. And I want to say good morning to the officials and the staff and the PEP workers, everyone who's been out there working hard since March, and all of our staff, our Daltech staff who are preparing hot meals right now for home delivery, as well as our CXRs checking on high risk patients, our law enforcement driving the roads, Navajo PD, Navajo EMS, Navajo Fire, food distribution warehouse here in Crown Point, Mr. Murphy and his crew, Division of Social Services at NTU and behind the chapter, Navajo Workforce Development, everyone that's working today to make a difference in the lives of our people. Thank you very much. You know, we're still in the midst of a pandemic. COVID-19 is still among us. To see a press release of 119 new cases, you know, I hope everyone still practices mitigation and safe practices, using masks and hand sanitizer, getting boosters as well when encouraged that. But please continue to be safe out there. Our Navajo people, we love you, we care about you, and we want nothing but safety for you. But Eria Che, thank you very much. Good morning to one and all. Kiana Che.
Che, thank you for recognizing all the folks across the Navajo Nation, and most especially your 8 chapters and the officials. Who else would like to get the teleconference floor?
Delegate Paul Begay.
Oh, Che, Honorable Paul Begay, you have the floor.
Thank you, Pro Tem Chair, Honorable Delegate Daniel So, colleagues, in today's Naabik'íyáti committee meeting, all those that are joining us. I just wanted to mention that I'm sure a lot of, this is just kind of like an invitation to my colleagues, the 24th Navajo Nation Council. A lot of you probably heard about the issues surrounding the Page Unified School District. do benina to hayi ol baul khagi betinni de di Christi went to other places. Ko bas bahanna kushin desert this street at the akut benina ol kha large ya satagi superintendent ADG to hajob na an shajuha ligo hot ego bahanna do this the mobis kanya da ligo nakhalchna kedna nakhalchna do yida Page Unified School District. The Bido is over on Bigaho, more than 80% Navajo students at Page Unified School District. For AI, you see the Tata has this Nahalan or Goho the old Trabajios, Washigi. So, Yachi, it ego, could ego, action battle, the Asian only Asian brown kids. The could ego, action, Yijif Bahnilia. Even a shado, I use a mother was Jedo, a che, a masana, and Nalan Lini. Ado King Lini of Basiat, Adol Tra, Bal Tradan Lenigi of Basiat, hot ego, Yahda, see. Fortune Ida, see, Ben Gidas, Nalan. Na kitchen da an shkuna ultra o jack hodo ni walk out isnisa belagana chico ultra battery or swasigi Monday da the mobis kana qadado lecture nigonal source resignation arobis kana aro na ho da bi rescind jila so illegal injitla quite net or yido bashat no bashat ita ako ade amado your kid quite health education and human services committee he all habik isdo in khalchna habik isdo in quite na khano khan ka oche da nigo yanda o khan even na che quite ego ade satit le khodo ni Ado with Charlene Soul, I think a shafty place. Nigo E. Quite a Dana Health Education Human Services Academy Clinical. Okay, even at a and I Nishko Nagis Congo Ada. The Chi chapter Tarnas and because I shall not lady. Okay, Sahi played all this special meeting, Health Education Human Services. For a bishmansa only Glengina being think on Hidochi. Dobana Nagoshi, and Hatchin Hala, Hatchin by Atioidani, Indian Hideti. It don't matter what part of the reservation it is. Those are all our children, and those children need us. They need our support. For the Hatahauda, Nanishin Legogo, Nitauna Sondo, Les also, and Hansas case or there. Colleagues on Fendi, Dishpansa Anna. It is quite a bit of decisions, and I think if they see delegates over there with important issues like that, family members, the relatives, they are very appreciative. So they go, yeah, seasons and go, echo, it will be happy decisions. Yeah, Pro Tem Chair, Shadina Andy, thank you.
I'm unmuted now. Yeah, Chiche. We will be headed up that way. We had met before up there, colleagues, in 2019. And so the issue is just coming at us again. So we'll listen to the community members and the parents and try to chart a path forward on how to address the issues that have come to the committee. Committee members, anybody else that wants to recognize Oh, Cecilia, you have the
Delegate Dan-
teleconference floor.
Moving to Q, Che, Delegate Daniel.
But as soon as
Oh, Nisha, I thought Nisha would loan the Nisha Ishla Eugene.
Kasula, so hey, oh, yes, I recognize that. Oh, yeah, got to that. Oh, next. The next is that never take a card now. I get asked to recognize Islam on this. I don't hold. I will let other cities, other states. I want all the Navajos all to be recognized. Today is a happy day. Yeah, go that. That's a thought. Schade hast ja. Sanna hat das in das Sinn. Ahalane, Ashnet, I don't know. Told this whole ago. Hakone, kiss.
Oh, Cecilia, Ochalame, Ochishane. What oh, eh, was twin his on. Yat een dat je dat niet in de Kachi Anita and Alia this morning. Kadeya, the Che, my favorite Che, Honorable Herman Daniels, Jr. You have the teleconference floor.
Che, thank you for giving me the floor without that this morning. Kudo Shanala. I see Kudo again, since the Sazando, Ashin is Kohonit Ego. Junago to the Behainzi, got the Delegate Wanika. I said, those Ego Eva by Hens and Ho. Adonana Kudo, Ani Hot Ellen Reda, Delegate Eugene Soya had Ziggy. Ashkeda Yosh had a just take of Ahonese. Adonana to that Hitcho, that the Quida. This the Nachakota. I said that the smell that just chago. Ota Ahonese. I had that just chago. But this seen it or eat or. But then the equator measure a Nathan Kakoto. Ado Kodo. I just want to say thank you, Yakodo Naleda, to the 24th Navajo Nation Council. Kodo. We're into the third year, almost the end of the third year in our tenure. Kodo Dam Adonana Ashana Hedaba on go Itahanesi. So Kodo Nijuno that il nation, that Sabbath. One voice that Nenegit, he Kakobigan, Sunday, Nan, that il nation. So I see what I think Jonathan let go Iliago. Adonana Kodo Chunaya had the Kodo that delegate Paul Begay. She says window a conta yardole. Banahodo Kankosh, Jay with that needle. Adonana Kodo. Ishmas unneat Lenigi, Nahashin de Dean. Hasha Hodika. Neat. Reshonate London, his committee. Arin cannot set the Shadon and Shadow A. Beshanit Edolish. Adonana Quado. Hikain Lenigi, a mother of Zed and Lenigi, a Masan and Naladan, Lenigi, the Shin Ade. Yekada des Hinat Ani. Nakahito Kachot Ashin Sata Kiss. But AIC Kodo Bananahosh Kato, Leshazando Kokodo. Ani hot and a great order the Altragi, or Yaya Nata, Rashin or you not a hobbit as echo. A beson Dante, the Aya Nababich, or Yababich on Dante. So I see that on lap, Balnad and Halenako. So that tomorrow, Kodona Gaida, Adihonit, Lord John Lesson and Amashenigi. A co-watching of that sad. But with the J is now. A yogurt is ashe. Not dead or fishy tab. And now what others so that Bahat will forget. see what this even kodo she an sharo les kodo shana do na hes committee which kon snodo les arun ani ekon jonato les koko akoda na grade belkana so ta khat ziki kodo e shadow hashin so e ba yel tito les ade ashita il meheki ba yel tito les kodo e hote aja aruna kodo to he the smedo les kodo na grade the modo na kijine da basement an lenigi but an lenigi resources and development committee e na grade not to ade asasi tle penigo adonana e we did a tour e set na Payu Canyon set na ni kodo we got on top of Payu Mesa I see that the purpose of the tour was to look at the roads. I don't know the great infrastructure that Baba Nahashne. I see now snow bed is Nahashne Payu Mesa. The only way to get there is from Navajo Mountain, not just on, and also from Shantua down there behind. I don't know the road. I see the Walako. Kodo. Lot of hard stay. I don't know a lot of day. We did a tour. I just want to say thank you to my colleagues, the 24th Navajo Council, RDC, Kanigyo staff, out of the Speaker's office, Ms. Yako, Edo, Adenhaniyado, Office of the President and Vice President, former council delegate, Honorable Filford, Adenhaniyato, Adonana San Juan County Commissioner, Gray Eyes, out of the Navajo County Board of Supervisors, Fern Benali, Eso Adanhani, out of NDOT, the local leadership, all the 4 chapters that I represent, I just want to say thank you to each and every one of them. My favorite chair. Thank you.
My favorite Che. We appreciate the work you do too. I see. We have a good team member over in the west side, you and Honorable Paul Begay and Honorable Otto. So, who else would like to do recognition? If there are none, I guess the main thing is I'd like to also.
You're the pro temp chair. This is Delegate Yali here. For the record, I'm on the line. So pro temp chair, Honorable So. Thank you.
Oh, Hokushila. That would make.
Good morning.
Yate, Shiche. That would make 19 members present for this meeting. I'd like to also thank the Office of Legislative Services, Chief of Staff, starting with Chief of Staff and all the supporting staff, Ms. Jalissa Johnson, Peggy Nakai, Ms. Sioko, Ms. Liana Sosi, and all the staff, Mr. Alray Nelson, Mariana Khan. I see them on the call. Appreciate right now you're helping me preside over this committee meeting, and I appreciate all the technical advice that I was given to be able to preside over this meeting. With that, committee members, if there is no other recognition, I'd like to go to.
Good morning. Yate.
Oh, Yate.
Yate, Chairman Pro Tem. So,
Arvin Mitchell, also, I'm from also President, Vice President. I'll be also on the line. Thank you.
Mr. Mitchell.
Chair, Pro Tem Chair, this is Delegate again.
Oh, Giselle.
One recognition, Aspiga.
Oh, Abiga.
Like I say, yeah, she's aware.
Gesto Caballero.
Ela, she's aware, yeah. Although that is Benito, although I get baseball and a half Hanido, yet you get these things go. Could you yet on it? Yeah, she's aware since an idiot that beyond that is that by the nation, you have it all. Kazi, that Hartley and Hanana, Bobby Mitchell, Yak and Han Yako, if I could, but last week, a large dog is the Banana Nation, Untitled Chapter, President Zenido, Edo and Hania, Alvin Clark, Locasita. If I had done Tato that you need Ado, a Hotisco. Oh, yes, up better to simply go at hard and low and Harian the Hot Agi. I see it and Lido at Saturday, and Quasa has Linko. Either in the skip. I bought the home that oh, either no, Aroha not let no. So I'll give you the date, November the 21st. Aqua Dark on chapter is not yet. The net Atali Association, so now that yes, area, then his needs other Satokla, like his Dahil Nayako, Shawako, Idia Auto, Sabeda Dos Sinto, you know, it now, I Kato. Every with never a car, and neither his not is cheat and no, he cake. It also better had of things, so he had the idea. His balance on those in such based on only clinic, and so does it. Here, shall we?
Okay. I still don't have the reins just right yet on the thing. So, is que, here lunches, yeah, Ado Shastri Ade, Atra, my so Tanigi, Dinosagi, here, Craggy, Nikidini Dole. Look at Cecilia, Honorable Ricky Nez, you have the teleconference floor.
Yeah, some Honorable Chairman Daniel, so Adoshan and Notleniki, Baseball Sahana, 24th Navajo Nation Council, Adosh staff, and that's in the Shigan Hikana, Jagi, Ado Arnold Horizon Notagi. I would like to recognize leadership, Baseball Sahana, Notlenigation, and Yet Ehoshi, Nishanan Nishadash, and Hitnaz Ago chapters represented us, Edo communities, the 110 chapters, used to represent daily. Ako, Yego, that Nishanan, Kate, Asana, Hidaba, Hotzi, Hot Pen, the Kodo Argentine, I say, Yego, they Edo Lesto, Hajo, Kitten Dale, Nesto Legend, and I say, oh, his Bahoshian accreditation and Arnoshaniki. It's made Nesto Le 3-branch government and Lieutenant President's office stands door. Add on that judicial branch, Compes or Larson, Miliki, ARPA. I guess that's where our focus should be. I guess you can understand the NEPA. The Nepati Nego, let's do that. And Rota he deals so Yet, Corona, and but he's nation day taught not such a shinsa. That he based on her unnot seen or later. Could all set the email get not hot. I adore about honey to know at Nant Aro and the Tahajod or less. Yet, on Hatchahor's and a tenda, a sanate leho yat echo. And Hatchanahatis, he given action in 6 days, he could all Yenetilgin echo. Robert and Ban Sissy, Case of Shinkahi, she do less. Quit a hot about this station, and I do honest putting in his not or less, or I is not sadly. So, Kodoshi or recognition, and he gave that. I mean, the never not on each no. Big hot at Nisa, play social media that or see it, got the Nanda at sea. So the Yego said, ne, if they didn't send out, a halahot, Lanson. So la hot, unraised, Shana, and they share your candy in the information. No hard saying me last week. Winston at the KTN that I always not a handaki social media it obeyed either. A hike or she did do ya a give it a given in do instant do arjo to dish is the don Sunday. A court. So there's any yego a Hatchers and all yet on Hatchers in the key. Nahat Ashin John Naabik'íyáti Yati made in Naabik'íyáti. I'd like to just recognize you all and Diego that and I did about this decision pro tem. You're already chairman, so you're not the pro tem. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Cecilia. Oh. Jo citizen keeping that jo in see case though jo Nahuit adole to yat away been much here in that they need 8 ole ado jo sequence no nas dole he jo and yeah only the Mahas twin his army, but that Linde Nostan is Okade Nikode Nosta in it age. Josi a day ill in Vincent. Though she had Cicados the nurse, Zanant I Craggy, out of a case and Dinosaki, Josi. I can't see case though. But don't hajo a say your day shit all day. A good a Lana Winton, a job by a Winton, a your net, a Sadi Nasi Catholic. What ail at this time, I'd like to call on Ms. Nakai to help us review and proceed to adopt the agenda. Ms. Nakai.
Shania, Yate Bina Naabik'íyáti Committee. This is your agenda for the regular meeting via telecommunications. Window Rock, Navajo Nation, Thursday, October 28, 2021, 10 a.m. Proposed agenda. Presiding chair is the Honorable Daniel So, Pro Tem Speaker, 24th Navajo Nation Council. 1, call meeting to order, roll call invocation. 2, recognize guests and visiting officials. 3, review and adopt the agenda. 4, review and adopt the journals, none. 5, receive reports, none. 6, old business, none. 7, new business. A, legislation number 0206-21. An action relating to the Budget and Finance Committee, Resources and Development Committee, Naabik'íyáti Committee, and the Navajo Nation Council approving $1,838,798 in supplemental funding from the unreserved undesignated fund balance for the 110 Navajo Nation Chapters Emergency Fund account sponsored by the Honorable Thomas Walker Jr., co-sponsored by the Honorable Seth Damon. Also, Honorable Mark A. Freeland, co-sponsored by Eugene So. B, legislation number 0209-21, an action relating to the budget and finance resources and development Naabik'íyáti committees and the Navajo Nation Council, allocating $68,025,000 in citizen funds for the Navajo Nation Department of Water Resources to complete 12 water connection projects across the Navajo Nation and approving the quote 2021 water connection projects expenditure plan end quote pursuant to 12 NNC section 2501 through 2508, sponsored by the Honorable Amber Kenneth Crotty, co-sponsored by the Honorable Seth Damon. C, legislation number 0194-21, an action relating to resources and development, budget and finance in the Naabik'íyáti committees approving and authorizing a contract between the Navajo Nation and the United States Department of the Interior under 25 USC 5301 at SEC PL 93-638 as amended for a 3-year term for the Housing Improvement Program, approving and authorizing the fiscal year annual funding agreement and the scope of work for the period of the contract term, sponsored by the Honorable Wilson C. Stewart Jr. and co-sponsored by the Honorable Mark A. Freeland. 8, close of the meeting, announcements, adjournment. Mr. Pro Tem.
Thank you, Ms. Nakai. Committee members, how do you wish to proceed on this agenda that's been read into the record?
Motion, Vice Chair Smith.
Motion, so.
Uh,
Take it, Alana.
Okay, we have a motion by the Honorable Vice Chair Raymond Smith and a second by Eugene So. Sorry, Helena, you're just a tad slow. And with that, committee members, do we have any requests for Honorable yellow hair? Oh, Honorable Kial Gay, you have the floor. Chiche.
Chairman, yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, it's up.
Yeah, this Che. This Che. Committee members, I don't know if we have the time to, if we're going to be adding more legislation for the 1 o'clock session, but na kiko legislation add on at the Chairman. Legislation 0215-21 relating to Navajo government development appointment. ADO 0216-21, which is only a supporting resolution for RICA. Ina kikuda kodo bite sato kodo be shalat legislation sina chairman what I kodo Chairman, that's my motion.
215 is ready. 216 is still in.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Johnson. Chiche, 215A, it can come to before the NABI committee. 216A, it's still with RDC, Jim. Lacking
we RDC act on it yesterday. I don't know if Chairman had submitted the report.
Still not signed, Chiche. Staff relays the message that the committee report hasn't been signed.
Okay, maybe just go ahead and 215 then, Chair, modification.
Okay. Okay, Shache, Honorable Kiel and McGee, I recognize that motion to amend the agenda to add 0215-21. Do I hear a second?
Delegate Rick Nez, second.
Okay, at last, I recognize the second by Honorable Rick Nez. So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? And that particular confirmation goes to the council. Is there any discussion? Going once, 2 times, 3 times. Ms. Sosi, roll call vote on that amendment 1.
Beginning vote with Honorable Elmer Begay. How do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Elmer Begay votes green. Honorable Key Allen Begay, how do you vote?
Chairman Keelan votes green. Thank you.
Honorable Key Allen Begay votes green. Honorable Paul Begay, how do you vote?
Delegate Paul Begay votes green.
Honorable Paul Begay votes green. Honorable Nathaniel Brown, how do you vote?
Delegate Brown votes green. Yeah.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes green. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton is excused. Honorable Amber Kanaz Bakrati, how do you vote?
Shadeja, this is Delegate Amber Kanaz Bakrati. I vote green. Thank you.
Honorable Amber Kanaz Bakrati votes green. Speaker Seth Damon is excused. Honorable Herman Daniels, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Herman Daniels votes green. Honorable Mark Freeland, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Mark Freeland votes green. Honorable Pranel Halona, how do you vote? Honorable Pranel Halona.
Halona votes green.
Honorable Pranel Halona votes green. Honorable Jamie Henio, how do you vote?
Only votes green.
Honorable Jamie Henio votes green. Honorable Vince James, how do you vote?
Delegate James votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Rick Nez, how do you vote?
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Honorable Rick Nez votes green. Honorable Carl Slater, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Carl Slater votes green. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr., how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. votes green. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr., how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. votes green. Honorable Charlene So, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Charlene So votes green. Speaker Pro Tem, Honorable Daniel So is not voting. Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote?
Vote is Dr. Chair.
Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Otto So, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Otto So votes green. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr., how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. votes green. Honorable Edison Juanica, how do you vote? Honorable Edison Juanica votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazzie is excused. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair, how do you vote?
I'll vote green.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair votes green. With that, Speaker Pro Tem, you have 20 delegates that have voted green and yourself who is excused, and 3 delegates who are also excused.
Let the record show a vote of 20 in favor, 0 opposed, the chair not voting, 3 are excused. With that, committee members, we've amended the agenda. Is there anybody else that wishes the floor to make an amendment? Going once? Twice? 3 times? Let's go back to Ms. Nakai to do the second reading on the agenda, the amended agenda.
Thank you, members of the Naabik'íyáti committee. You have one amendment, which was to add legislation number 0215-21 to the agenda. That's the second reading, Chair.
Thank you. Committee members, we now go to discussion back to the amended agenda. Any further amendments? If there are none, I'll go going once. Going twice and 3 times. Ms. Sosi, could you provide the roll call vote for the amended agenda, to adopt the amended agenda? Thank you, Ms. Sosi.
Beginning with Honorable Elmer Begay, how do you vote? Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay has not voted.
I vote green.
Honorable Elmer Begay votes green. Honorable Key Allen Begay, how do you vote?
Delegate Key Allen votes green. Thank you.
Honorable Key Allen Begay votes green. Honorable Paul Begay, how do you vote?
Delegate Paul Begay votes green.
Honorable Paul Begay votes green. Honorable Nathaniel Brown, how do you vote? Honorable Nathaniel Brown. Honorable Nathaniel Brown did not vote. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton is excused. Honorable Amber Kanaz-Bakrati, how do you vote?
Shadasia, this is Delegate Amber Kanaz-Bakrati. I vote green. Thank you.
Honorable Amber Kanaz-Bakrati votes green. Honorable Speaker Seth Damon is excused. Honorable Herman Daniels, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Herman Daniels votes green. Honorable Mark Freeland, how do you vote? Honorable Mark Freeland. Honorable Mark Freeland did not vote.
Freeland votes green, sorry.
Honorable Mark Freeland votes green. Honorable Pernell Halona, how do you vote? Honorable Pernell Halona votes green. Honorable Jamie Henio, how do you vote?
Henio votes green.
Honorable Jamie Henio votes green. Honorable Vince James, how do you vote?
Delegate James votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Rick Nez, how do you vote?
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Honorable Rick Nez votes green. Honorable Carl Slater, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Carl Slater votes green. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr., how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. votes green. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr., how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. votes green. Honorable Charlene So, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Charlene So votes green. Honorable Daniel So, how do you vote? Oh, excuse me, presiding pro tem speaker Daniel So is not voting. Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote?
Oh, okay. So,
Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Otto So, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Otto So votes green. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr., how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. votes green. Honorable Edison Juanita, how do you vote? Honorable Edison Juanita votes green. Honorable Edmund Yazzie is excused. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair, how do you vote? Honorable Jimmy
I'll vote
Yellowhair.
green.
Honorable Jimmy
Thank
Yellowhair
you.
votes green. Going back up, Honorable Nathaniel Brown.
Delegate Brown votes green. Yeah.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes green. With that, Pro Tem Speaker, Honorable, so you have 20 delegates that have voted green, 0 that have opposed, and 3 delegates that are excused, and yourself who is not voting.
Thank you. Ms. Sosi. Committee members, a vote of 20 in favor, 0 opposed, the chair not voting. So now we go to, we've adopted the amended agenda. We have item 4, review and adopt the journals, there being none. So we proceed to 5, receive reports, there being none. We'll proceed to old business, there being none. We go to item 7, new business. The first, 7A, legislation 0206-21. Shadeja, Ms. Peggy Nakai, could you read that into the record?
Oh, shouldn't I? The legislation before the Naabik'íyáti committee is a proposed Navajo Nation Council resolution assigned to Budget and Finance Committee, Thence Resources and Development Committee, Thence Naabik'íyáti Committee, Thence Navajo Nation Council, 24th Navajo Nation Council, 3rd year 2021. Introduced by Thomas Walker Jr. Prime sponsor. Tracking number 0206-21. An action relating to the Budget and Finance Committee, Resources and Development Committee, Naabik'íyáti Committee, and the Navajo Nation Council approving $1,838,798 in supplemental funding from the unreserved undesignated fund balance for the 110 Navajo Nation chapters emergency fund accounts. The legislation has the attachments that are referenced in it, and then the Internet Public Review. The first report has a supporting email, one supporting email. And then the second report has a comment from the Office of Management and Budget. It's a memo dated October 12, 2021, Dominic Bial, Executive Director, Office of Management and Budget, with an attachment. Thereafter, you have the Budget and Finance Committee report with a due pass with one amendment. Amendment 1, on page 3, line 9, insert the Office of Management and Budget OMB has, and then overstricken as not yet. And then existing language reviewed this 1,838,798 funding request. Overstricken are the words, but the OMB can. Underscored is the word and. Provided has a D at the end that's added. It's memorandum to satisfy the requirements of 12 NNC Section 820M. Overstricken language when this legislation is presented for consideration by the Navajo Nation Council. And then Exhibit E. 2, add new Exhibit E. 3, renumber or re-letter succeeding paragraphs, sections, and exhibits as necessary and appropriate. The Office of Legislative Services and the Office of Legislative Counsel with notice to the sponsors of the legislation are hereby authorized to make technical edits to this legislation as necessary and appropriate to correct grammatical and or scrivener's errors and to correct numerical errors, so long as all such edits accurately reflect the committee's intent in approving this legislation. This amendment shall supersede all inconsistent language contained in any other committee amendment, which amendment shall be conformed to the intent or language of this amendment. And so it was referred to the Resources and Development Committee, and there's a vote tally sheet that's attached. And the Exhibit E is the memo from the OMB with the attached report from the Office of the Auditor General. Also included are the Resources and Development Committee report, and it has one amendment on page 1 at line 13, on page 2 at lines 23 and 27, on page 3 at lines 2, 6, 9, 15, and 19. Delete $1,838,798 and insert underscored $1,808,528. 2, on page 1 at line 15, add the following new language: emergency fund accounts. Underscored is and waiving 12 NNC Section 820. 3, on page 3 at line 22, add the following new paragraph, new language. C, the Navajo Nation hereby waives 12 NNC Section 820 to allow for this supplemental appropriation to all 110 chapters. 4, replace the original Exhibit A Appendix K with a new Exhibit A Appendix K signed by the Executive Director of the Division of Community Development on October 13, 2021. 5, replace the original Exhibit B Emergency Fund Chapter Balance as of 7/31/2021, 5 pages total, with a new Exhibit B, 5 pages total, provided by the Division of Community Development on October 13, 2021. 6, replace the original Exhibit C Budget Forms 1, 2, and 4, 3 pages total, with a new Exhibit C, 3 pages total, provided by the Division of Community Development on October 13, 2021. 7, renumber or re-letter succeeding paragraphs, sections, and exhibits as necessary and appropriate. The Office of Legislative Services and the Office of Legislative Counsel, with notice to the sponsors of the legislation, are hereby authorized to make technical edits to this legislation as necessary and appropriate to correct grammatical and or scrivener's errors and to correct numerical errors, so long as all such edits accurately reflect the committee's intent in approving this legislation. This amendment shall supersede all inconsistent language contained in any other committee amendment, which amendments shall be conformed to the intent or language of this amendment. And then also attached is the third report with a Casimiro Lake chapter has submitted a resolution in support, and then recommendations from one other email that is attached. Chair, so that concludes the reading of the legislation 0206-21.
Thank you, Ms. Nakai. Committee members, floor is open.
Motion,
How do you
Delegate
wish
Rick
to proceed?
Knows.
Eugene, so second.
Okay. I recognize the motion by Honorable Ricky Nez and the second by Honorable Eugene So. What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. Right before me, I was busy looking at the screen. Honorable Paul Brigade Jr. had his hand up before Eugene So said second. So I'll recognize Honorable Paul Brigade's second to the motion. Committee members, the floor is open for discussion on legislation 0206. Are there questions?
I have a question, Chair. Thank you.
Over the queue.
Okay, with that, committee members, since there are questions, then the sponsor, Honorable Cecilia, Honorable Thomas Walker Jr., you have 20 minutes for you and your agent to open the dialogue on this legislation. Cecilia, Honorable Thomas Walker Jr., you have the teleconference floor.
Thank you, Chairman. So, pro tem chair for today. Showing Chinanda Naabik'íyáti committee members Dani Klinigi Eja Tanani Klinko Shinja Abendia so Leko Heda Huilne Nado Nisigi DD what echo legislation 020621-21. It's heading for the Navajo Nation Council special session this afternoon. Question Heda Hudi Ninto Arjigo Jabit Ordne Eben Ye Ichikwa de Bas Toto Con Bada Huilnet or the Sto by Yelchit or the Shinanta. Other motioning party though Shinanta Care Bekeno Ajigi where other co-sponsors and Venigi to Edo Care but a Kaiche and yeah Yija Kada Yaselin legislation. Other corn Yel Kagit Arjo a the Benya legislation. Although my agent for today is Dr. Pearl Yellerman, our executive director for Division of Community Development. A could echo ishing Sato Nika Iliedo, this is not declare by Yati Dobahane. I put Elako Shinanta. Ado Yard made Sato a 1.8 million Doba require supplemental funds. Eight the way chapter 110 chapters are the Bebakaito was 3,000 in the has eaten a hot list and Naha what echo the Hego. Yes, what echo Asia BP a Konahot echo. Ashinas so she don't Jahan given Asia a Nahoti Nahatleko, non late Cat in the co. A conde task in the liberal has arch a to nature that ocean. I could be yard a artisan the little add a shing the ne yen either ye landa is seco a chong either this and that has the given yeko. I could add it Banda Huidnek at Quishing committees but Hadil what's a link of a day with our wish net or less we at our Bahazan had now the trade or huge nas a or yeah. I could end yard a
chong ego jo hat at yat ko nahot services, goods, supplies quite beso chong ko. And then of course we all know that nothing is free. Also yat bahila also began da yat iya in shenda hot akodi adole nahot ille ko yard abschad dol chiki hodlo so hat at iya the nebayat eko shanant ako it what ego ba johna adole to shi Dr. Element do ikwa na habada hito sa as ikwa edinal society nifiki benan should I last link as well as the staff from the speaker's office it don't you can not job ki hit nil link question and ko ba shehla di ho ni taso nil so do shin sato ba totsi ben yako kuta de yat sa de hasti do les shunan ado na hot di in bed husband ado teaching hot we continue to be in a state of emergency. So we know that when inclement weather comes in, that causes additional burdens and hardship on our people. So we, do not want to have emergencies on top of other emergencies. Although that's something we can't help, but it's good to have chapters have the resources that is readily available for use for our people, our community members, our constituents. That's the purpose for this legislation. So at this time, I'd like to turn time over to Dr. Pro Yeleman, Chairman.
Dr. Yeleman, you have the teleconference floor to review with the Naabik'íyáti committee the intent and purposes and give us an idea of how the chapters will also be able to access these funds once it is signed into law. Thank you.
Good morning, Pro Temp Chair. So can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, yate. So, Naabik'íyáti, and good morning, honorable members of the 24th Navajo Nation Council, Naabik'íyáti. Thank you for this time, and thank you to our sponsor, Delegate Thomas Walker. And good morning to everybody, staff, everyone on the call. We are seeking your support in this legislation. We've been working diligently to provide these resources for emergency funds through the UFB supplemental request for 110 chapters. The formula amount is based at a 25,000 threshold. The exhibits demonstrate that some of the chapters had used funds during the pandemic last year, the ongoing pandemic since last year, and have also endured weather-related challenges and monsoon weather this summer and early spring or late spring. And not to mention the declared drought that we all experienced as well. So many of the chapters had been impacted both by the public health pandemic and then the weather-related circumstances. As such, that put a strain on many of the chapters, and the chapters have depleted their emergency funds. And you can see that some chapters still remain above the 25,000 threshold, but they all have been impacted and they all have been tending to their community and community needs, especially all during last year during the pandemic. And I just want to share that many of you have seen and witnessed that your chapters may have served as a point of distribution. When the chapter served as a point of distribution, and they're still serving as a point of distribution, some chapters have not stood down their incident command because we're still in a major disaster declaration, and they still provide distribution of PPEs or materials and equipment. So we appreciate that dedication, but those have been resources taken on by the chapters, and many of the chapters have been doing that to provide support and mitigation to their community members. So that is why we've worked in the past with other delegates and now Delegate Thomas Walker, to restore much needed emergency funds to the chapter. So Shanant, I'll stay on the line for additional questions, but we do seek the support of the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yellen. Committee members, I have Honorable Otto Sove, and first in line, then Honorable Eugene Sove, and then Honorable Elmer Begay. Cecilia, Honorable Otto Sove, Vice Chair of Law and Order Committee, you have the teleconference floor.
Thank you very much, Chair, Pro Temp Chair today. I don't additional gido adit share kodo sabe dana adit kodo hitati in sauce. Ako ya kodo ya. I think so. That need would do support this legislation, and go la shine la ya shida. So agenda this is something that I do support, and but one of my questions is, for instance, maybe this is an answer, some that could be answered by the division director for Division of Community Development. We understand that there were some reimbursements that some reimbursements may have happened under CARES Act pertaining to the chapters utilizing some of these funds pertaining to emergency management. And under the CARES Act, what were the reimbursements of the chapters for utilizing these emergency funds? And speaking to these reimbursements, those reimbursements, are they going to be directly to the Navajo Nation or directly to the chapter, to that particular chapter that expended those dollars? Some chapters went over, spent it more than what they had in their account. And I don't know how that happened, but that somehow occurred. And as we replenish, and then the other question is, as we replenish these dollars, when we approve this, does this mean that the reimbursements and the chapter will have the reimbursement amounts that they have expended, and then on top of it, while they have this extra resource, so that they can have extra resources to address their needs at the community level? So it is an advocate, yeah. Mute.
Okay, Hatla. So Cecilia, Honorable Thomas Walker, I'll proceed to two more delegates, and then we'll come back to you for a response from you and your agent. With that, we go to Satilla Honorable Eugene So.
Good morning, all 24 Navajo Nation Council staff, all those that are trying to help and the nation. As we sit here, I talk for most of the chapters, especially Chinle. Chinle chapter remains open still responsibly throughout the pandemic. That is still in effect. And accordingly with other chapters within the central agencies. The Chinle chapter was accountable and as well as promptly to the people's needs during this time and still. Again, I do favor the legislation. It magnifies the needs of the people out there in this stress and upcoming weather. As a result of the climate change, we all are seeing, experiencing these days, the weather we cannot really predict. With that installed, we need strongly consider the legislation and approve and send it forward. This legislation is an intent of the people, the needs of the people out there. We all see daily. It's very obvious to us 24th Navajo Nation Council to look elsewhere when we know where the needs are. So it's for the council today to forward into tomorrow's special session and forward to the president. And hopefully with our prayers that he won't veto it this time. With that, I reserve my time to say that, but since this is Naabik'íyáti, give me another cue, put me back another cue later on tonight. Thank you.
Fukushila, so it's Nabi, no need to reserve time. Let's give other delegates an opportunity to address the legislation, then we'll come back to you if there are no others. But at this time, Honorable Elmer Brigade, you have Naho on the teleconference floor. Honorable Elmer Brigade.
That is, so, I wrote on the front gido, I wrote, Senado, the delegate, and Wakado, that eto, Shado, I don't get, legislation in Tozito, if I hear it in home. Is it called the utilizing the funds for emergency in Yakko. So downtown they submitted a letter of support of this explaining how they use this funding during the emergency COVID-19 pandemic, and a lot was used at that time. They tried everything they can, how they can do it, even without the CDC to close the office and they operated during that time. They came in, and then because of that, is community members around here because we have the bashes there and we have NTA here. Everybody has to pay here. Everybody has to come and get some food. Other social service that because everybody comes over here. Other police department because so everybody has to come over here. All the surrounding chapters because even now it was very essential that this chapter needs to be open. Then at the same time, people were getting their mail. At that time, there's people, a lot of it were shopping online. The UPS people wants it, and then people wants to have their tech. So they want to keep it open. So a lot we have to call to Division of Community Development and then OOC. What is the best way to operate it? What do you do? Then they were told that they had to hire some people to be on payroll. That's the only way that we can get that count done. So that was what happened. So we're thankful that whatever we can, whatever they did for the people, to try to meet their needs and then to be essential for during that time. Even in it's a supporting letter that they did is supporting that, explaining that they know that this is what we did at that time. So I forward that to Mr. Rico, so to attach it to this legislation 206-21. So we appreciate that. Thank you for that.
Before I go to Honorable Ricky Nez, let me go back to Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. and your agent, Cecilia. A response to Otto So, Eugene So, and Elmer Begay.
Thank you, Chairman. So, Shana, other question, for the Nabi Committee. I will ask that we allow the agent to respond, make responses to those questions and comments. Dr. Yellerman and Habanawi Disas Shinanda.
Dr. Yellerman, you have the floor.
Okay, Pro Temp Chair, Delegate Daniel So. Thank you, and thank you to Shanella Otto So for the question. The Division of Community Development, we have been tasked as one of the divisions to respond and work closely with HCOC. That's the command center for the pandemic and still remains as the command center, HCOC, to work with our FEMA representatives on the FEMA reimbursements. We have a team dedicated to working with our FEMA representative, and so does HCOC, Dr. Jim. She has been working on the FEMA reimbursements on behalf of the nation for the health side. DCD, we've been working with the chapters and the representative for the reimbursements on the chapter side. Those seem to be the two main entities that were in operation all last year. There was HCOC dealing with the health side of the pandemic, and then there was the chapters. Also included were DPS and CHRs. But as such, we have a team that has been working with the chapters on receiving those reimbursements and providing trainings to the chapters, to the chapter staff and chapter officials. It's my understanding that this is the first time we are dealing with a pandemic in regards to FEMA policy. And we are establishing or understanding that once reimbursements come back to the nation from FEMA, it will go to the nation. We further understand that a system or business units may be created to go back or to reimburse the chapters individually. But we're not there yet. We're still calculating and still working with the chapters on those reimbursements. So no, there will not be a double amount because the nation still has to receive the FEMA reimbursement. It's DEM that is accountable, or the representative through the nation that works with FEMA to receive those reimbursements. We're just working under that umbrella to represent the chapters to get reimbursed or to identify which items would qualify as an eligible reimbursement. And there's a tremendous amount of training and information that goes back and forth. Was this item eligible, or is this item eligible? We had these discussions last year. Would heavy equipment be eligible under FEMA or not? So we're sifting through almost every piece of eligible item that a chapter may have expended last year during the pandemic to see if it would be FEMA reimbursable. So we have staff, like I said, dedicated to that, and then we work closely with HCOC. The other question was, how did we get to the negative? How did some chapters go into the negative? And clearly, it's not something we advise, nor do we try to allow chapters to practice. But there was a short period of time where chapters were working closely in distributing, as immediate Delegate Amended mentioned. You have community members coming from all over to a central chapter, identified central chapter that's identified as a point of distribution or a point of location for individuals to come and get resources, PPEs, hand sanitizers, even food. When that was happening, we were also in the middle of potentially expending CS 73-20. That legislation in October of last year, a year ago, appropriated $90 million to the chapters. Unfortunately, when the chapters were going through orientations, there was some advisement that the chapters could use their emergency funds for fuel sources and other items that would have been potentially reimbursable under 73-20, with a high anticipation that those reimbursable or those expenditures would have been allocated past the November 20th we learned shortly after November 20th that what the chapter submitted for 73-20 were not approved. And a lot of chapters, and you can see in the exhibits, you have such chapters like, I believe, one of the chapters like Theru may have used their funds for fuel sources like wood, gave to the community members with the high anticipation that we would get those funds reimbursed back to the chapters under 73-20. And sadly and unfortunately, nothing was approved, and we reverted those CARES Act funds. So that's where some of the chapters went into the negative. They still provided they still provided resources. They still were there for their chapters. Similar to what Delegate Eugene So mentioned, some of these chapters never closed, even if they experienced a COVID interaction. So a lot of the chapters, those were just some of the circumstances that we encountered. So I just want to touch on Delegate Chanella, Delegate Otto So's questions, and then appreciate Almer Digay's Shiche, his chapters resolution, and Delegate Eugene So. The Chinle chapter was, among other chapters, one of the chapters that remained open during the whole pandemic and provided much needed resources. So we appreciate all of the chapters and all of the chapter staff and chapter leadership. Yeah, Pro Temp Chair, thank you.
So what?
Terry, can you put Delegate Freeland in the queue box? Thank you.
Oh, Shiche, Honorable Freeland, I'll put you in the queue. So in that aspect, then we have Honorable Ricky Nez to talk to the issue, and then after that, Honorable Carl Slater, and after that, Honorable Mark Freeland. So Ricky Nez.
Thank you. And, Honorable Chairman So, honorable members of the 24th Navajo Nation Council, I would like to make a motion for Amendment 1. The amendment language has been sent by our attorney, Ms. Laureline Kapahi. The amendment language does read replacing certain exhibits, documents, as well as budget forms, Mr. Chairman. So this was sent out just not too long ago. So I'd like to make this motion for Amendment 1, sir. Thank you.
Committee members, we have a motion to amend legislation 0206-21. And that amendment was sent out at 11:33 a.m. 11:38 a.m. Committee members, do I hear a second on this Amendment 1?
Oh, yellow hair.
Second, Delegate Cardi.
Okay, I'll recognize Jimmy Yellow here.
Thank you.
Now, since I recognize the second to the motion, Ms. Peggy Nakai, could you read the proposed amendment into the record?
Yes, members of the Naabik'íyáti Committee, Amendment 1 is, it says to legislation number 0206-21. This amends the version of 206-21 that was amended by BFC on October 12, 2021, and RDC on October 14, 2021. On page 1 at line 13, on page 2 at lines 23 and 27, on page 3 at lines 2, 6, 9, 15, and 19. Delete $1,808,528 and insert new language, $1,851,335.34. 2, replace Exhibit A, Appendix K, dated October 13, 2001. It should say 2021, added by the Resources and Development Committee on October 14, 2021, with a new Exhibit A, Appendix K, 2 pages total, provided by the Division of Community Development on October 14, 2021. 3, replace the Exhibit B, Emergency Fund Chapter Balance as of 7/31/2021, added by the Resources and Development Committee on October 14, 2021, with a new Exhibit Emergency Fund Chapter Balances as of 8/31/2021. 5 pages total, provided by the Division of Community Development. 4, replace the Exhibit C, Budget Forms 1, 2, and 4, dated October 13, 2021, added by the Resources and Development Committee on October 14, 2021, with the new Exhibit C, Budget Forms 1, 2, and 4. 3 pages total, provided by the Division of Community Development on October 14, 2021. On 5, on page 3 at lines 2 through 8, make the following changes in paragraph 1 or paragraph I. The OOC has overstricken not yet reviewed this supplemental funding request for the amount of overstricken is $1,838,798. Underscored is $1,851,335.34. And then existing language as required by 12 NC section 820L. Overstricken is, however, the OOC, a new word, and has provided a memorandum dated overstricken is August 20, 2021 regarding a previous DCD request for chapters emergency funds in the amount of $1,685,344. Underscored is October 19, 2021, Exhibit D. And then overstricken is the OOC can present an updated memorandum with a review of this $1,838,798 funding request when this legislation is presented for consideration by the Navajo Nation Council. Existing language, the controller has identified the chapter's emergency funding as non-recurring expenditures. 6, replace the original Exhibit D OOC memo dated August 20th, 2021 with a new Exhibit D provided by the OOC on October 19, 2021, 1 page. 7, replace the Exhibit E added by the Budget and Finance Committee on October 12, 2021 OMB memo dated October 12, 2021 with the new revised Exhibit E provided by the OMB on October 19, 2021, 1 page. 8, renumber, re-letter succeeding paragraph sections and exhibits as necessary and appropriate. The Office of Legislative Services and the Office of Legislative Counsel, with notice to the sponsors of the legislation, are hereby authorized to make technical edits to this legislation as necessary and appropriate to correct grammatical and/or scrivener's errors and to correct numerical errors, so long as all such edits accurately reflect the committee's intent on approving this legislation. This amendment shall supersede all inconsistent language contained in any other committee amendment, which amendment shall be conformed to the intent or language of this amendment. So there, after you have Exhibit A, and then the delegation memo, and then Exhibit B are the emergency fund chapter balances as of 8/31/2021. And those are listed by the 5 agencies. Exhibit C are the budget forms 1, 2, 3. And then the Exhibit D is the controller's memo, October 19, 2021. Exhibit E is the OMB memo, October 19, 2021. Chair.
Trying to unmute. Okay, can you hear me? That's one corner of this screen that's hard to keep track of. So committee members, there you've heard the intent and purposes of Amendment 1. At this time, I'll call on Honorable Vice Chair Carl Slater. We had a second by Eugene So. The amendment was Amendment 1 was motioned by Honorable Ricky Nez with the second by Honorable Eugene So. So with that, then we move to the Naabik'íyáti committee members for comment and question. Honorable Vice Chair Carl Slater, you have the teleconference floor.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to comment on this and make a broader comment about the legislation. So, thank you. I'm in the chamber and there's an echo that I think I can hear through my headphone. But right now, this is not really, I think, a sound legislation because it is appropriating to negative balances. And that sets really bad accounting principles, I believe, for the nation and for the governance of the nation. And it encourages poor accounting at the local level. So, for example, if you take the total of this legislation as this amendment states, $1,851,335.34, and then divide, say, Eastern Agency's emergency account allocation under the legislation to be $746,504. That's 40% of the total legislation, whereas one agency in theory would be closer to 20% of the legislation. What's taking place is that, through chapter here has a negative $99,689 emergency fund balance. Tohajule has a negative $67,286 emergency fund balance. Crown Point, negative $17,253. Yambato, $16,195. It's obviously because of good work that these chapters were doing, but the appropriate thing for the chapter is to get their community support to do a budget transfer in a timely manner. To me, these are huge red flags for audit findings. And it's as if the nation's governing body is saying, it's fine if you overspend, because we'll always come in and bail it out and provide some consent at the back end. But ultimately, if there were, audits of these chapters, they would find, that you overspent from an account, which is, in theory, inappropriate and not up to good accounting standards. So there's only one agency that doesn't have negative balances, and that's Central Agency. And I really think that speaks to the quality of the ASC, Ms. Jean, who oversees the chapters in Central Agency, and making sure that there's appropriate transactions taking place at the chapter level. But I really cannot support this legislation at this time. And I've asked the Office of Legislative Counsel to draft an amendment saying that you should not be able to receive more than $25,000. I think there's two ways you can do a legislation like this. You can choose a total amount to allocate and then do the 50-50 formula, or you can say we're going to get chapters up to a certain threshold. But there's no equity in what's being provided right now. It merely bails out those which have not engaged in appropriate accounting principles. It doesn't mean that the money wasn't spent correctly or that it wasn't for a good purpose. Let's set that aside for a second. But this is about our financial system, our governance, and I would like to think that the administrative service centers in each of these agencies has an obligation to bring these sorts of negative balances either to the attention of RDC or to the council, and that there should be a thought out solution before presenting a legislation like this. But awarding one chapter $125,000 or awarding another one $41,000 goes way beyond the $25,000 threshold that we're seeking to obtain here. And it's really unfair to the chapters that follow the rules, that keep their finances in order. And it means that there's unequal oversight from DCD of the chapter system. So in some cases, it's okay to overspend dramatically. And in other cases, there's counseling against that. And so what ultimately happens is that those chapters which follow the rules are harmed the greatest amount with this allocation. So I'm not even sure what the point of the amendment is, if we're still going to be ultimately distributing funding in the same mechanism. I may seek to table this legislation, but I don't want to get to that point because we need funding in many cases, and we need it now to plan for this winter. But this is ultimately a bailout to poor accounting, not to poor service delivery, but to not following the rules, which creates a perverse incentive structure. So thank you, Chair. I had to share these thoughts, and I hope that Legislative Council will be able to help with that with that amendment in the future.
Thank you, Honorable Vice Chair Slater. Committee members, do we have anybody else that wants to speak to Amendment 1?
Delegate Yellow Hair.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair, you have the teleconference floor. Remember, we're talking about Amendment 1.
Thank you. Okay, you go ahead. You go ahead. That's good. Okay. Pro Temp Chair, I'm ready to speak.
Oh, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much, to Pro Temp Chair, Honorable Daniel So, my colleague, the 24th Councilman. I totally agree with the Honorable Slater. Yeah, bring this out. I just thought about it too. Mismanagement of funds is not good justification, and we should not practice that way. There's too many defined in this case. About this case, though, mismanagement of funds. You can't control money. How do you receive more funds that way? In these many cases like this with federal funds, you don't get funds like this mismanagement of funds. Not she doesn't not the hot in so when the she could hold the same be shown later. Hard she to beat all the hard she to shut. I just want to talk straight to the Patriot Amendment. I'm ready to vote for it. Thank you very much, Honorable Pro Temp Chair. She took care.
Committee members, get that otage, what Honorable Vice Chair Slater and Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair has brought to our attention. If we could go to exhibit where Eastern Agency is listed, committee members. Casimiro Lake, overexpended by $400,000. I mean, $400. And the threshold is 25,000. But the final column shows 25,400. And so what Honorable Slater and Yellowhair is talking about is the appropriation amount ought to be 24,600. And then we go down to Church Rock. They overexpended $9,672, and the threshold is 25,000. So their appropriation amount should be 25,000 less 9,672 instead of the total amount that is showing. So it would be something like, what is? Um, 16,000, 15,678. The same would hold for Crown Point chapter. They would only be getting approximately 7,750, but it shows them getting 42,000. Regarding Iyambato, they overspent by 16,000. The appropriation threshold is 25,000, and they should only be getting less than 9,000. However, it shows them to be getting $4,195. We go down to Rama. They overspent by 4,295. So their appropriation should be 21,000. And on down the line. That's what Honorable Vice Chair Slater is pointing out. And the spreadsheet basically is, I guess, one that the committee really has to look at. And it exists, those same type of over expenditures exist in the other three agencies. And then, as Honorable Vice Chair pointed out, Chinle did not overexpend, so their levels that are listed in the spreadsheet is appropriate. What Ayla, from what members of the committee pointed out and what presiding chair has noticed, that there are this error in the spreadsheet calculations. What Ayla, committee members.
Sure. They'll give a day.
And speaking to Amendment 1, again, Jajah Elmer Begay.
Okay, Chairway, I don't the members of the Naabik'íyáti committee though. I don't speaking to that's amendment number 1 and in support for this amendment. I think as I mentioned before that the Southwest Porter Reservation, I think we all know that we have different issues we have. Water. So me and Delegate Walker. He said, we know that we have very limited water. And during that time, that the water is up close and there's watering points. So the chapter has to go outside. The members have to go outside to Winslow and then Holbrook to get water. The other one is at the part of the closer to the reservation line and loop towards Flagstaff. The water in the Yanda at that time. So, but we did what we can to keep we had to pay for the water too. The chapter has to pay for water. They have a watering point. So a lot. We use it for this pandemic. So if you look at it, we have over about 240 cistern tanks in the Dalcon area. When a lot of people have to haul water to get into their cistern tank to get water. So the most important thing that we always been hearing and that's always said was to wash your hands during that time. But the water was very limited for us. And here, the chapter has to really dig into their pocket to how we could help the community. And at the same time, the chapter here at Dalcon, they kept it open. So I would say the Dalcon chapter, through this accounting, saying that the chapter did submit 6 tabs of hardship application through the hardship application drive. And down opened yesterday when a lot of people from other chapters, they come around to submit their application for the hardship drive. So they kept it open. So they had to hire people to do that. And then also, Dalcon chapter were in compliance and certified it prior to the pandemic. They would have been fined if they were stayed closed. Or if we closed the chapter, we would have been in compliance. But this pandemic that came around, they didn't have anything. These laws that has on the it don't matter what kind of authority you have. It don't matter what kind of a strong legislation, strong regulation and laws. It took lives of our people. So it was up on sea case and here. So I think like how I was always saying that which you would raise the bar for it, the life of the people, to keep the people alive, or are we trying to save the money because based off of the no. I think us to the southwest part of the reservation, in the rural area or chapters, we took the series of the life of the people too. So we did how this chapter called over there. How can we keep ourselves in compliance with this? So they have all the records. So we tried to get that, just like how Dr. Yellerman stated. We tried to we put all our accounting and to get reimbursed from CARES fund. Out of gasoline, because CARES fund was so short and out of needs out, they didn't make it through. So we're supporting this without overspending. I guess I would say that I'm really thankful that this chapter opened it during the time. So even though the office get through this quarantine, I don't know, we have to clean the office again to come back in to keep it open, as well as some other Navajo Nation employees that were at home. But here, the whole Navajo Nation government, the southwest part of the reservation, we kept it open. So the water is very is very needed out here. If there's no water, we're right now, they're shutting down the water again, even though there's no emergency situation out here, because of the water is getting brownish colors. So they're shutting down all the NTA water and the chapter waters right now. So we're going to have to go out to Winslow and Holbrook and Flagstaff to get our water, which is about 40 to 60 miles, just one trip. If it's a round trip, it's going to 80 miles. People get water. So what do we do for this? So I'm really thinking that we're trying to keep this open for during this time. This was a good practice. It showed us that how the chapter would demonstrate during emergency. So of course, we're kind of penalizing, saying that you guys are overspending. So I have people here, the veterans, they said that this morning they didn't have this morning. I recognized them. They say that they're here for the people. So this is the part of this is how we serve the people out there. So we're here to help. They're listening to all of you. I will say this much on behalf on this amendment, to support the amendment. Thank you.
Sheila. Committee members, anybody else?
Okay,
wants to
Delegate
speak?
Freeland.
Committee members, just remember, we are to convene special session in less than 23 minutes. Chache, Honorable Mark Freeland, you have the floor.
Colleagues, Naabik'íyáti committee, staff, everyone listening to this call, good afternoon. Chapter officials out there. I'm very honored to be a delegate for 8 chapters, and I for one know wholeheartedly that our 8 chapters have been open and working along. So I've been working alongside them since March of last year. I can attest to that. I witnessed that. Our chapters did not close. In the case of Crown Point that was brought up, Crown Point had to utilize the emergency fund to keep on PEP workers. Now, without PEP workers, we wouldn't be able to get the assistance to our people that we drastically needed. That wild card, Shnata, is our PEP workers. We could not have got through anything or got anything done without our PEP workers. We're so thankful for them. And I can attest to Crown Point situation. I can vouch for them. I can back them up on that. AJ, Charlinda, Wes, thank you at Crown Point. PEP workers. The transfer stations did not close down. We still had to keep those transfer stations open. So, I believe in, knowing that the chapter, it's not a matter of poor accounting. It's just a matter of following what the HCOC guidance was stated or had stated, direction from the CDC. Our agency is, and I'm really proud of our agency, Eastern Agency. All the 31 chapters, we responded, we stepped up, and we helped our people as much as we could out here. And Shantai, I for one am only one delegate, yes, but I've seen and I've witnessed for myself since March of last year, working alongside my chapters, our chapters. I know what they've done. I've witnessed it for myself. I support this legislation. I support the amendment, and I support our chapters. Without any of our PEP workers, we wouldn't be able to achieve what we were able to do. One of my chapters, Herfano, took the hardest hit. And you see before the pandemic what that cemetery looked like, and you see what that cemetery looks like now. We had to unfortunately bury a lot of our people there. We had to use PEP workers to help dig graves. Naabik'íyáti was going out to other chapters. My Chase chapters were asking for help. So I just wanted to say that and let you know that, our rural areas stepped up a lot. Our rural chapter stepped up big time. And I'm very proud of them. And I'm very honored to have been alongside of them since March of last year. So I do support the legislation. I do support the amendment. Thank you, Che.
Okay, committee members, again, we have 29 minutes before council session. If none of these legislations are voted on, then at least they don't move on to the special session. Again, as Honorable Carl Slater pointed out, the spreadsheet isn't consistent. Dr. Yellerman basically says it was based on a 50-50 formula, but some of the chapters are going to be getting more than 25,000 as what's in the exhibit. Committee members, what do you want to do with this amendment as well as the legislation?
Honorable Chairman Daniel So, Delegate Rick Nez, request to speak, sir.
Honorable Chair Rick Nez, Cecilia, you have the teleconference floor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman So, honorable members of the 24th Navajo Nation Council. We have approximately 25 minutes. I believe we could probably move forward on this legislation, and whatever amendments that really need to be amended at the special session, we can do that. And the other three legislations, but I believe we are going to run out of time with this. I understand that there's corrections that need to be made, but if we can act on it here, we can move forward to the special session and then clean up the legislation with the proper amendments that need to go forward, Mr. Chairman. That is my recommendation for now.
Thank you,
Pro Tem Chair.
Honorable Rick Nez. Do I have anybody else that would speak to this amendment? Going once? Going
Mr.
twice?
Chair, Pro Tem, this is Lurleen from OLC.
Three times, committee members.
Mr. Chairman, this is Delegate Rick Nez.
Yes, Cecilia, Honorable Rick Nez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe our attorney, Ms. Laureline Tapahi, wishes to speak to this amendment. Perhaps she has a recommendation to offer on this amendment or on the legislation. Mr. Chairman, back to you.
Okay, thank you. Again, Ms. Lapahi, the reason I didn't immediately call on you is because the discussion is open to the committee members. And so when Honorable Rick Nez says he's opening the door for you to speak to the amendment, then I can call on you. Miss Laureline Lapahi, you have a teleconference for.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I apologize for that. Thank you for recognizing me. Actually, my last name is Tapahi with a T, Tapahi. Just correction on that. All I wanted to point out was that as far as the 50-50 chapter distribution requirement under, I believe, Title 12, the Resources and Development Committee made an amendment back on October 14 to this legislation. And I believe Ms. Nakai read that amendment into the record. And that amendment added a waiver of 12 NNC section 820, which is the 50-50 requirement, the formula. So as it stands now, the amendment being RDC's amendment being incorporated into the legislation, there is a waiver of that provision. That's all I wanted to clarify as far as a legal matter. Thank you.
Thank you. And forgive me for mispronouncing your last name. All this time I've been pronouncing it the other way, so I stand corrected and forgive me.
That's okay.
Ms. Tapahi. Committee members. Going once.
Yes,
Honorable Pernell Halona.
Thank you, Chair, and committee members, Naabik'íyáti committee, and our presenters and all the guests that are on the line. Thank you for this quick. I'll make it quick. I think there's under these circumstances, extenuating circumstances from this COVID-19. This is probably what brought on about 85% of the overspending that's been happening at some of the chapters. Whether or not they approve that spending at the chapters is a different story. Because I know some of the chapters that I have, when they get down to the end, they have a big debate on how they're going to spend it, and then they try to move money over to make up for that negative balance. So I do agree with Joe Slater that we should not be funding negative balances. It is a problem, especially when your audit comes around. And so the chapters really need to be covering themselves as far as overspending, especially in these extenuating circumstances with COVID-19. And so that for that reason, I believe that some of the chapters really were diligent about helping out their people, and you can't penalize them at this point for going over and above the challenges that COVID-19 has presented. So for those reasons, I do support this legislation. I guess we need to find out from the chapters that overspent the large amounts. There's something not right there. I can see them overspending on the smaller amounts, but when you get up to those really large amounts, there's something not right there. Something different happening. That's the only thing that I can see as a problem right now, but I still do support this legislation. I didn't see very many people, very many chapters in my area that were native balances, and if there was a minimal amount. But like Delegate Freeland said, I seen it with my own two eyes that the chapters were working hard to keeping the chapters open to support people and delivering food and handing food out whenever we got a delivery in that we could disperse. And so the chapters were all building about working with their employees and they are working with the community. So just real quick, I just wanted to read those points up, Chairman, and that our director brought this up several months ago when some of the chapters started going into the native balances. We should have been notified several months ago about what was happening there, and we could have addressed it at that time. Especially with the new funding coming out, with the ARPA funds coming out, we could address that with this at the same time, because it is an overspending. It's all coming from COVID-19. If it didn't happen, we wouldn't have to be in this position. Thank you, Chairman, for the time. I appreciate it. And like I do at this time, I do support this legislation. The other thing that I really like to put out there too is that a lot of the chapters never got money for hazard pay or working in a hazardous environment out there, and so that still has to be addressed. I don't know how far that's going to go, but the support in some of the chapters did not get that money, hazard pay, and they were out there working with their communities. So for that, thank you very much, Chairman. I appreciate it. Back to you.
Okay. The signal on the screen, it says mute and it shows, and then that's when you're unmuted. And then, so it's kind of backwards, hard to get used to. On the phone, I can understand it, but with this iPad, it's so different. Okay, committee members. Anybody else? If not.
Chairman, Otto
So, Cecilia, you have the teleconference floor.
Yeah, I guess my thought is that it looks like we're gonna, if the threshold is $25,000 across the board, the adjustment should happen pertaining to whatever the amount of negative balances that some chapters are in. That way, I think that equity portion across the board will be addressed and will be favorable for all the chapters. There's chapters that obey the law. There's some chapters that's in between. And the ones that have the high negative amounts don't know what to say. Just like your own personal finance, if you don't have the money, you don't go spend it. And that sends a message. And, if we fund this, does that send a message across 110 chapters that it's okay to overspend your monies and get into the red and, the nation will bail you out at the end? So I think the idea of the $25,000 threshold is appropriate, and that way, if some chapters has some negative, the negative portion is taken away from the amount allocated from the $25,000. But the idea is to have that $25,000 minimum threshold. If a chapter has some revenues inside their current emergency budget, they're just given the difference to make that $25,000 threshold. Oh, it's up, and because I were a chapter official and I saw this and it's funded, I'm going to say, hey, let's go overspend. The Nomination Council is going to give us the money back anyway. This shit is not nice. Ako, kasi I love this about when he sounds all this when there's some chapters that will get their negative amount, and on top of it, they're $25,000. That's wrong. Maybe we can go to the highest one and get that negative amount and add on that $25,000 and apply that. That will be fair. But mute.
Yeah, let's select committee members. Are we ready to do a vote on Amendment 1? Going once,
Yes, sir, we are.
going twice, 3 times. Ms. Sosi, roll call vote on Amendment 1.
Beginning with Honorable Almer Begay. How do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Almer Begay votes green. Honorable Key Allen Begay, how do you vote?
Delegate Key Allen votes green.
Honorable Key Allen Begay votes green. Honorable Paul Begay, how do you vote? Honorable Paul Begay votes red. Honorable Nathaniel Brown, how do you vote?
Delegate Brown votes red.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes red. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newton is excused. Honorable Amber Canas-Bacrati, how do you vote?
Yate Shadeza, I apologize, Leah. This is Delegate Amber Canas-Bacrati. I'll vote green. Thank you.
Honorable Amber Canas-Bacrati votes green. Honorable Speaker Damon is excused. Honorable Herman Daniels, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Herman Daniels votes green. Honorable Mark Freeland, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Mark Freeland votes green. Honorable Pernell Halona, how do you vote? Honorable Pernell Halona.
Malone votes green.
Honorable Pernell Halona votes green. Honorable Jamie Henio, how do you vote? Honorable Jamie Henio. Honorable Jamie Henio did not vote. Honorable Vince James, how do you vote? Honorable Vince James. Honorable Vince James did not vote. Honorable Rick Nez, how do you vote?
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Honorable Rick Nez votes green. Honorable Carl Slater, how do you vote? Honorable Carl Slater. Honorable Carl Slater did not vote. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr., how do you vote? Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. votes green. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr., how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. votes green. Honorable Charlene So, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Charlene So votes green. Honorable Daniel So, Speaker Pro Tem, Honorable Daniel So is not voting. Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote? Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Otto So, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Otto So votes green. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr., how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. votes green. Honorable Edison Juanica, how do you vote? Honorable Edison Juanica votes red. Honorable Ed Minazzi is excused. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair, how do you vote?
I vote red. Excuse me, I vote green.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair votes green. Going back up again. Honorable Jamie Henio, how do you vote? Honorable Jamie Henio.
Votes red.
Honorable Jamie Henio votes red. Honorable Vince James, how do you vote? Honorable Vince James. Honorable Vince James did not vote. Honorable Carl Slater, how do you vote? Honorable Carl Slater votes red. With that, Pro Tem Speaker, Honorable Daniel So, you have 14 delegates in favor, 5 that have voted to oppose, 2 delegates who did not vote, 3 excused, and 1 sitting is off.
Okay, one more time. 14 in favor, did you say? Or 14? Okay, 14 in favor, 5 opposed, and the chair not voting. So we go back to the amended legislation. Committee members, what are your wishes? Do I hear any other comments on the amendment? Twice, 3 times. Give Ms. Sosi, please provide the roll call for the okay, second reading. I'm sorry. The second reading on this legislation, because Amendment 1 was adopted.
Pro Tem Chair,
Oh,
Pro Tem Chair, this is Delegate. So are you back on main motion? Or
yes.
I didn't hear that part, but
Yes,
then,
we're back
then you
to
jumped
the
to
main motion.
second reading.
Yeah, the second reading. That's what we're waiting for right now.
Okay, thank you. Naabik'íyáti Committee, this is your Amendment 1 to legislation number 206-21. And this is the second reading on page 1 at line 13, on page 2 at lines 23 and 27, on page 3 at lines 2, 6, 9, 15, and 19. Delete $1,808,528 and insert $1,851,335.34 to replace the Exhibit A, Appendix A dated October 13, 2021, added by the Resources and Development Committee on October 14, 2021, with the new Exhibit A, Appendix K, 2 pages total, provided by the Division of Community Development on October 14, 2021. 3, replace Exhibit B, Emergency Fund Chapter Balance as of July 31, 2021, added by the Resources and Development Committee on October 14, 2021, with the new Exhibit B, Emergency Fund Chapter Balances as of 8/31/2021, 5 pages total, provided by the Division of Community Development. 4, replace Exhibit C, Budget Forms 1, 2, and 4, dated October 13, 2021, added by the Resources and Development Committee on October 14, 2021, with the new Exhibit C, Budget Forms 1, 2, and 4, 3 pages total, provided by the Division of Community Development on October 14, 2021. 5 on page 3 at lines 2 through 8. Make the following changes in paragraph I. This is existing language. OOC has, and then overstricken not yet. Existing language reviewed this supplemental funding request for the amount of overstricken $1,838,798. New language $1,851,335.34. Existing language as required by 12 NNC section 820L. Overstricken is, however, the OOC. New word and existing language has provided a memorandum dated. Overstricken is August 20, 2021 regarding a previous DCD request for chapters emergency funds in the amount of $1,685,344. Underscored is October 19, 2021 Exhibit D. Overstricken language, the OOC can present an updated memorandum with a review of this $1,838,798 funding request when this legislation is presented for consideration by the Navajo Nation Council. Existing language, the controller has identified the chapter's emergency funding as non-recurring expenditures. 6, replace the original Exhibit D OOC memo dated August 20th, 2021 with a new Exhibit D provided by the OOC on October 19, 2021, 1 page. 7, replace the Exhibit E added by the Budget and Finance Committee on October 12, 2021 OMB memo dated October 12, 2021 with the new revised Exhibit E provided by the OMB on October 19, 2021, 1 page. 8, renumber, re-letter succeeding paragraph sections and exhibits as necessary and appropriate. The Office of Legislative Services and the Office of Legislative Counsel with notice to the sponsors of the legislation are hereby authorized to make technical edits to this legislation as necessary and appropriate, to correct grammatical and or scrivener's errors and to correct numerical errors so long as such edits accurately reflect the committee's intent in approving this legislation. This amendment shall supersede all inconsistent language contained in any other committee amendment, which amendment shall be conformed to the intent or language of this amendment. And that is the conclusion of the second reading, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Nakai. Ms. Sosi, roll call vote, please.
Honorable Elmer Begay, how do you vote? Honorable Elmer Begay. Honorable Elmer Begay did not vote. Honorable Key Allen Begay, how do you vote?
Key Allen votes green. Thank you.
Honorable
Elmer Begay votes green too.
Honorable Key Allen Begay votes green, and Honorable Elmer Begay also votes green. Honorable Paul Begay, how do you vote? Honorable Paul Begay. Honorable Paul Begay did not vote. Honorable Nathaniel Brown, how do you vote?
Nathaniel Brown votes green. Yeah.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes green. Honorable Eugenia Charles Newman is excused. Honorable Amber Canas-Bacrati, how do you vote?
Today's Delegate Amber Canas-Bacrati, I vote green. Thank you.
Honorable Amber Canas-Bacrati votes green. Honorable Speaker Seth Damon is excused.
Green.
Honorable Herman Daniels, how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Herman Daniels votes green. Honorable Mark Freeland, how do you vote?
I vote green. Thank you.
Honorable Mark Freeland votes green. Honorable Pernell Halona, how do you vote?
All votes green.
Honorable Pernell Halona votes green. Honorable Jamie Henio, how do you vote?
Jamie votes green.
Honorable Jamie Henio votes green. Honorable Vince James, how do you vote?
Delegate James votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Rick Nez, how do you vote?
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Honorable Rick Nez votes green. Honorable Carl Slater, how do you vote? Honorable Carl Slater, how do you vote? Honorable Carl Slater votes red. Honorable Raymond Smith Jr., how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Raymond Smith Jr. votes green. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr., how do you vote?
Green.
Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. votes green. Honorable Charlene So, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Charlene So votes green. Pro Tem Speaker, Honorable Daniel So is not voting. Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote? Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So did not vote. Honorable Otto So, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Otto So votes green. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr., how do you vote?
I vote green.
Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. votes green. Honorable Edison Juanica, how do you vote? Honorable Edison Juanica votes red. Honorable Edmund Yazzie is excused. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair, how do you vote? Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair.
I vote green. I vote green.
Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair votes green. Going back up. Honorable Paul Begay, how do you vote? Honorable Paul Begay votes red. Honorable Eugene So, how do you vote? Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So did not vote. With that, Pro Tem Speaker, Honorable Daniel So, you have 16 delegates in favor, 3 opposed, 2, including yourself, who are not voting, and 3 delegates excused.
Thank you.
Pro Tem Chair. Otto So.
Honorable Otto So.
Can you change my vote to red? Thank you.
Sheila. Committee members, that makes Honorable Otto So votes red. Committee members, with a vote of 15 in favor, 4 voting in opposition, and chair not voting. And 1 delegate not voting, and 3 are excused. Committee members, that puts us to past 1 o'clock. So
motion adjourned. Vice Chair Smith.
Cecilia, time expired. We don't need any motions.
10 minutes.
Committee members, we will reconvene in about 10 minutes as the whole system has to be changed to the Navajo Nation special session. So at this time, I'll call, let's just reconvene at about 1:15. Thank you.
Chairman So, this is Delegate Cardi.
Oh, Shamaya, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to thank, I know that we had chapter on the call who were hoping to get the water legislation on. So we'll move forward with that legislation, and maybe as a committee, we can amend our recognitions. It took us nearly an hour to get started with official business. And so we could, with your expertise, Chair, if you could help guide us in terms of for our next committee, that we could get straight down to our legislation. Thank you.
Thank you, Shemayaja. And the only thing we can do is going forward to schedule another special meeting of NABI and another special session of Navajo Nation Council. So that will be part of the items that we would hand back to Honorable Speaker Seth Damon once he comes back. Shemayaja. So at this time, the system will go off and we will reconvene at about 1:15. Thank you. Goodbye.
Move on. We'd have to do in a second.
And what does this tell?
Leave the meeting.